So we got a big one for you guys today. We're going to cover the R32 Skyline in all its trim levels. I'm sure this is one a lot of people have been waiting for, and this is important for us because it's easily our most popular car and a lot of people often have questions about it. Alright, so we got a lot of stuff to cover on this one, so if you guys aren't hyped, then you should get hyped, and then we'll sit back and we'll enjoy some facts about the Skyline. Alright, so we've got the R32 Skyline, which followed the R31 Skyline and debuted in 1989 and lasted until 1994. There were various trim levels on the R32 Skyline, from the 4-cylinder GXI to the GTE, the GTS, the GTS 25, the GTS-T, the GTS-4, and finally, the GTR. So Nissan had some new and improved systems to work on the R32 to differentiate them from the older Skyline models. First off was their ECCS, or their Electronically Concentrated Control System. So when they developed their RB series of straight-six motors, they improved the head design with the 12-port inlet now being gone, and they used this ECCS essentially as an improved injection system. Also available on the R32s for most models was the HICUS 4-wheel steering system. So essentially the rear wheels were hydraulically linked to the front steering and would turn up to a certain degree when you turn the steering wheel. ABS became an option with the exception of the GTR and GTS4 where it was standard. Then there was mechanical LSD, which was standard on the GTR, and a viscous LSD was standard on all turbo models and optional on everything but the GXI. So the base model for the R32 Skyline was the GXI. It was available in both coupe and sedan and came equipped with their 1.8 liter CA18i, which had 90 horsepower. This was the same motor that was used in S13 Silvias and C33 Laurels at the time. So the next trim level up is the GTE. This was available in a coupe and sedan as well, and came with Nissan's 2-liter RB20e, which was a single overhead cam inline 6, and it had 123 horsepower. So we currently have a sedan version of the GTE at Montu. It's available with the 5-speed manual, and I've driven the car around a little bit, and it's actually a really comfortable car. It's fairly spacious for a Skyline, not quite as much as a Laurel, but with the sedan you get a little bit of extra room in the back. And with the RB20e, again, it's not going to be the fastest car with 123 horsepower, but it's decent enough to get you around and gets pretty good gas mileage to boot. And the GTE is a great option in my opinion if you're just looking for a daily driver Skyline. You want something simple that has, R32 Skyline good looks, but you're not looking to tune the car, not looking to go really fast, but you can still have fun with the car. With the 5-speed manual, you can actually, ring it out a bit and have some fun with it. And you also get some creature comforts in the GTE. You get ice-cold air conditioning, which is super important here in Florida. And you also get a radio that has a super advanced cassette player for those who like their music with a side 1 and 2. And another cool feature with these Skylines too, and the GTE even has it, is the electronically folding side mirrors. And that's something I think is a great idea because if you pull up to the shops and, for example, there's somebody in a giant truck or SUV parked next to you, and of course they never park in between the lines, right? So you can fold those mirrors up so when they open up their doors, without looking, hopefully they're not going to hit your car. So the next trim level is the Skyline GTS. And these are virtually the same as the GTE, but the biggest difference is the motor. It's the RB20DE, which is the dual cam version of the RB20E in the GTE. It has 153 horsepower, and believe me, that extra 30 makes a pretty big difference. The GTS, like the GTE, also featured the 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic. We currently have an automatic-equipped GTS at Montu Motors, and like the GTE, it's a very comfortable car. And I know people are going to bash the automatics. We've all done it. But for a car like this, there are some advantages to some buyers for having an automatic. For example, some people might have an injury and just can't drive a stick shift. Or you might get stuck in traffic a lot if you're working in and out of a big city. You might be better off with an automatic just because you're not constantly pushing the clutch in. Now, a nice thing about the automatic in the GT... Yo, there's an ice cream truck outside. Ice cream sounds awesome right now. Shows how easily I'm distracted. A nice thing about the automatic in the GTS is the fact that it's actually a fairly quick shifting unit. So for example, if you're pulling out into traffic and you need to move quickly, you don't want an automatic that's going to leisurely shift from one gear to the next. There was also the Skyline GTS 25, which had the 2.5 liter RB25DE. That came with 178 horsepower. It was also one of the first production cars to feature a 5-speed automatic. The next trim level is the Skyline GTS-T. This comes with a 2-liter RB20 DET, which is the turbo version of the inline-6, and has 212 horsepower in rear-wheel drive. This is pretty much the lowest level that people really like to start tuning because of the turbo motor. And the GTS-Ts were also equipped as standard with viscous LSDs. There was also the GTS-T Type M, which featured the same differential as the GTR, and could also be had with various different body panels such as front bumpers and side skirts. The GTS-T is an excellent alternative to the GTR for those who are looking to spend a little bit less. For example, sometimes a GTS-T in good condition could be roughly half the price of a GTR, but again, you're really not losing that much. You won't get all-wheel drive and you won't get the ultimate performance of the RB26 DETT, but still you'll get a lot of power from the RB20 DET. Also, if you're looking to have that performance again with an automatic, you can have the GTS-T with an automatic as well. But if you are looking to tune this motor, you can get 300 to 400 horsepower relatively easily and still be fairly reliable. Alright, so the next one on the list is the Skyline GTS-4. So this one's basically a GTS-T, but with the addition of all-wheel drive. You get the same motor choice as the GTS-T, the RB20 DET, but you can put it to the pavement more easily with all-wheel drive, especially when you tune it up a bit more. Your transmission choices remain the same, and the fact that you can also get it in a coupe or sedan, just like all the other Skylines we've covered. But the biggest difference is all GTS-4s are basically Skyline GTS-T Type Ms, so you get all the kit that you would get on a Type M standard on the GTS-4. The GTS-4 will still offer a lot of the great things that a Skyline GTR offers, but at a fraction of the cost. For example, a good GTS-4, such as the one seen pictured here, that one actually run about 10 grand give or take less than a comparable GTR. That's a pretty big savings for not that much less car. Oh, the Skyline GTR. I know it's a car, but you would, wouldn't you? Where do you even begin with a car like this? The R32 Skyline GTR is the car that basically started the GTR craze, and for very good reason. And it's known as Godzilla in Australian. Interesting. So the R32 Skyline GTR offers the RB26 DETT. It's a twin-turbo, 2.6-liter inline-6 that's absolutely phenomenal. Smooth as butter, can rev for days, and offers plenty of power and torque. And tuners can even push these motors well over 1,000 horsepower, which is just insane. And like any proper sporting car, the GTR comes only with a 5-speed manual, the way it should be. Plus it comes with all-wheel drive, so you can actually put all this power that you can make to the pavement effectively. I mean, it has the Ateza ETS that actually governs the all-wheel drive system. And this system is crazy. For example, it can sense where your car is slipping and where you need to divert your torque, and it will do it automatically. So that way, no matter what kind of surface you're on or where you're slipping, you can always get traction. Plus, you can also disable the system and make it a rear-wheel drive car in case you want to drift. The GTR's wide-body kit instantly distinguishes it from the rest of the range. Once you see a GTR, you know it's a GTR. There's no confusing it with any of the other models. And the R32 GTR comes in a coupe only, so they didn't have a sedan version for this one. And if a standard R32 GTR isn't hardcore enough for you, the good news is they actually made more high-performance models, such as the Nismo version that came out in February 1990. There were only 500 produced, but the biggest changes from a Nismo to a standard GTR were in the front bumper, where they added more ducting to improve the airflow to the intercooler. They also added a lip spoiler in the rear, in addition to the standard spoiler, that actually produced more downforce as well. The Nismo GTR was only available in gunmetal gray. Then, In 1991, they released the N1 model. There was only 228 of these produced, and the biggest change was in the motor, which was upgraded to the R32 N1 spec. Also in the N1, they removed the ABS, air conditioning, rear wiper, sound system, trunk carpeting, and they used lightweight headlights. There was only one color available for this car, which was crystal white. An interesting fact about it as well is it was also a thinner layer. Overall, they saved 30 kilograms, bringing the curb weight to 1,400 kilograms. Then, to celebrate Nissan's success in Group A and Group N racing, they introduced the V-Spec, which stands for Victory Specification. This one was released in 1993, and they added Brembo brakes and a retuned Atezza ETS system, as well as 17-inch BBS wheels. And in 1994, the V-Spec 2 was released. The only change from the V-Spec 2 from the V-Spec 1 was the fact that they added wider tires, bringing it to 245s from 225s. Both the V-Spec 1 and the V-Spec 2 had a curb weight of 1,480 kilograms, weighing 50 kilograms more than a standard GTR. The V-Spec 1 had 1,453 cars produced, and the V-Spec 2 had 1,303 produced. Oh, and should you need to do any maintenance or repairs on your Skyline, there's also a lot of domestic parts from the Z32 300ZX that are compatible, like sensors, filters, etc. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully we answered a lot of questions about the R32 Skyline. If you're interested in purchasing one of these, you can always hit us up at sales@montumotors.com. And as always, thank you for watching this video, and have a good one.
It's insane power.
I would definitely recommend Monty Motors.
And I would definitely go through Monty Motors again and again.
Registration, insurance, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they took care of every fear you could possibly have. They'll be able to answer it right on the spot.
That was a ridiculously simple process for getting a JDM car.
I couldn't be happier with my purchase from Monty Motors.